about that. I don't know, because like Hercules, I don't know what they would do with him in the MCU, right?
Yeah.
Because he's basically just another Thor. But oddly, they switched their personalities around. Not on purpose, I guess, but mythologically speaking, if you look at Hercules and you look at Thor, the Marvel version of Thor, who is like this still kind of headstrong but more stoic personality, is more like the Roman Hercules, which is not what people use to base Hercules. They use the Greek version, but they're similar. His name would be Heracles in Greek. People just like the Roman name. And the more crazed, brash fighter that they use for Hercules in Marvel is closer to Thor's mythological version. And so they're got their wires crossed somewhere along the line.
Well, I don't know if it's an actual rumor or just somebody wish casting, whatever you call it.
I think it's probably fucking just fan casting. Like that shit happens all the time.
Yeah, that Henry Cavill might be, but I don't know. Yeah, I haven't seen any rumors that there's going to be a Hercules in the MCU. So. But anyway, yeah, Cavill apparently was at the Warhammer 40K convention this weekend. I guess he's there.
I guess, I don't know.
Well, a lot of people taking selfies with him. Here's one. Where is it? There was one tweet with this dude like looking at him, like with this face, like he's in love. And the tweet was, "Get yourself a man who looks at you the way this guy looks at Henry Cavill." It's just like, this guy got.
Okay. Well,
everyone's.
I think I have found all of the stories that I was going to talk about on Wednesday. Finally.
Oh, good.
Took me a while of backlogging and remembering what the hell I was going to talk about.
Cool.
But that's catch up, so we can do that stuff after the quicker things that you were going to bring up. But before that, welcome to the Vomitorium, everyone. Episode 125. As always, I am your host, The Metal, and joining me is my co-host, Marsupial Gamer. How you doing today?
Good. I think I'm getting my voice back. Finally.
Hey. Yeah. I heard you on Dillard's stream like a couple days ago, whenever that happened, and you sound pretty
completely hoarse.
Yeah,
I mean, I think it all stems from I think I got COVID, Omicron variant about 2 weeks ago, and I think it's just that it migrated to my throat at one point and just stayed there for like a week and a half. So
every time I hear that variant, I just hear it in freaking the Lur voice. It's like, "I am COVID from the planet Omicron Persei 8."
That's right. He lodged himself right in my throat. So I've been basically hoarse, which is funny because at work, my boss asked me to run a meeting. I was like, okay. It's like, I hope people can hear me.
What you do is you just boost the volume on your microphone. It's like, okay, for today's meeting, we are going to do this ASMR style.
Yeah, really. I didn't think of doing that.
Yeah.
But, it was funny. It was like I had to talk to someone like shortly after that about a project or something, and he was like, "You rest your voice, and I'll just do the talking." And I was like, "I feel fine. It's just, hoarse." So anyway, GMT says, "Put on a curly wig and do it Bob Ross style." I don't have to do that. I don't have to put on a wig. Got the curly hair already.
Yeah, but you don't quite have the fro that Ross had.
Yeah, I just have to wait for a couple months and it would grow out. Yeah. So, you want to hear the good news and then the bad news?
I want to
Or the
hear
bad news and then
any of the news. I don't know. Roll a die. Hit me with something.
Well, the good news is Square Enix has confirmed that you will be able to suplex a train in Final Fantasy VI.
Excellent.
Of course, I mean, why wouldn't you? But the funny thing is, not actually bad news. Funny thing is, they put out a tweet that showed it, in a little short video, and Sabine goes and he does his meteor strike, as they call it in this version. Hauls up the train, comes down, and the train's not upside down.
Oh. Oh.
And people freaked the hell out. They're like, look, you can suplex a train. And then everyone was like, what? That doesn't look right.
Yeah,
So
the sprite is supposed to be mirrored down for anything that he suplexes, and then it resets afterwards.
Yeah, well, they confirmed that the video was from an alpha build or something, and they've fixed it. So the train will be upside down.
I reference that scene all the fucking time, and the problem is most people have no idea what the fuck I'm talking about. I'm like, how have you not played Final Fantasy VI?
I just thought there was brief outrage where people were like, "What? That's not right." And then they clarified and said, "Oh no, it'll be fixed. It's fine. Everything's fine." So yes, you will be able to suplex a train, of course, because there's no version of Final Fantasy VI where you couldn't. It would be ridiculous.
Yeah. Oh, actually, that's another thing that always upset me about 14 is I haven't gotten that far, but there is a Phantom Train raid that you can do with a whole bunch of people. It's basically just a boss fight. And the monk doesn't have like a meteor strike or meteor smash suplex move because of the nature of the way the game works. So at no point in time do you get to suplex that train.
Oh, shucks.
Yeah.
TMT says, I don't know who she's referring to, but she says, Taz could suplex a train and have it land on its wheels if he wanted to.
Like,
who's Taz?
Taz, the Tasmanian Devil? I don't know.
Maybe. But yes, I'm excited about the Pixel Remaster. Even though I've played the game dozens of times, it is coming out in 4 days.
I don't know. I'm not that excited for it. Probably because I'm not going to get it until it's on, like, the whole collection's on sale for a reasonable price anyway. Yeah. But also because, like, I'd rather just play the advanced version, or even, like, honestly, after modded, the ugly-ass version that they made before is actually pretty fucking good. Especially because you can put the old sprites in there. That, I'd rather just play that version because it's got all of the bonus shit that the advanced and the PlayStation version has. This one won't. It doesn't have any of the bonus shit, so.
Yeah, no word yet on whether they're adding anything. Although, I played the, Final Fantasy 1 and 2 with the Dawn of Souls stuff added on fairly recently, and I didn't really remember what it was. Dawn of Souls stuff kind of sucks.
Yeah, because all it is, there's no end stuff, right? There's no end game to them.
Yeah.
Mostly, you could do an end game to 2. That could have worked, where you just keep everything and go. But the nature of 1, when you beat the game, it resets the whole timeline, so you can't really do end shit. So it's side dungeons you have to do on the way, and they're not really fun. They're like multiple 4 fiends. Like Echidna is one of the bosses. One of the dungeons has like the 4 fiends from 4 in it. That it's
some member berries nostalgia stuff that they just stuck in there.
It's not like 4. 4's bonus shit from the PlayStation was actually really fucking fun. There's a whole fucking lunar tower that you go on where everybody has their own solo, like, epilogue quest that it's like it's like the Cave of Ordeals, but for each person.
Yeah. And I remember when they first came out, at least in the US, the After Years stuff was pretty cool. It was all downloadable stuff you could get on the Wii,
Yeah.
as I recall. And it was pretty cool the first time around, but in replaying it a little bit, it's like, it's not that special.
Yeah.
It's just kind of like a rehash of the same game. TMG says she's referring to a wrestler, a human suplex machine.
Yeah, I probably have no idea who that is.
All right, well, short story number 2. Have you seen Retro Studios' new Twitter banner?
I have. That one I actually have seen.
Because it's Samus.
Yeah.
And that's all there is to it. There's nothing more to it. It's basically presumably an image from Metroid Prime 4.
Yeah, people are treating it as like a teaser, which it probably, I guess, to some degree is. It's showing you a render. That's it. That is technically a teaser.
Now you can sort of make out her ship behind her. I don't know. It's like we knew they were working on it.
And just to let us know they're still working on it.
Yeah. By the way, we're still working on it.
Fans are expecting news is coming. No, news isn't coming. If news was coming, they would have dropped it instead of that.
Yeah. I mean, it's interesting that if you look at their timeline, all it is we're hiring for this position for Metroid Prime 4. We're hiring for this position for Metroid Prime 4. They're hiring for, back in August. Actually, no, wait. There's a more recent one. So I guess the last thing they hired was back in December of 2020. But then in January of this year, they posted a job posting for tools engineer and technology engineer. So that's interesting.
Yeah, I like Retro Studios. I think they're good. But unless they were remote working, I wouldn't want to work for them. Because it's in Austin, Texas. And I don't like Austin, Texas.
You don't like Austin, Texas? Come on.
No. I like one or two streets in Austin, Texas.
Yeah. The area south of the river is pretty cool.
Yeah.
Funky.
The closer you are to the university, the nicer the city is. The further
away,
the higher crime rates go up. But also,
not to the north.
Yeah.
I mean, to the north, it's the suburbs.
Yeah. Well, now the entire just like area between Austin and San Antonio is like nothing but suburbs. Like that area's just been filled. It used to be like open space. You drive, you wouldn't see anything but like a field for a mile. Now it's nothing but like back-to-back suburbs.
I bet it's the same going towards like Round Rock. I bet it's just nothing but suburbs between Austin and Round Rock.
It was the last time I was there. My old co-host, original co-host, lived in Round Rock for a while.
Okay. Yeah, when I was there, I lived like right on the edge of the north of the suburbs of Austin.
Yeah.
But then occasionally I'd have clients and stuff in Round Rock, and it was just like fields and stuff between my house and there. It was like nothing. But I bet it's all grown up by now to be.
Yeah, there's still some areas that are like dedicated for trees and stuff like that, like especially along like the river and creeks.
Mm-hmm.
But aside from that, it's just houses, houses and some storefronts. That's it. That's everything along the whole place.
Yeah, I don't know why GMT thinks she knows anything about Austin. She says they clock out at 3:16.
No, she's talking about Stone Cold. The 3:16 reference. That one I get. I don't know much about wrestling, but that one I get.
What else did I say? Okay, well, Valve tests native Linux ports for the Steam Deck.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, there's not much to that, I suppose. But I mean, I guess they does everything on the Steam Deck normally run on their Proton
I don't know.
OS? Is that the idea?
I actually have no clue. I do know hardware-wise, they've already found a dedicated company for replacement parts. It's the online store iFixit, which makes sense because why would Valve open up a whole hardware line just for replacement parts?
Yeah. Well, yeah. So I mean, yeah. I guess because the Steam Deck runs on Linux, so it uses the Proton compatibility layer to run Windows-only games. However, in addition to that, they are testing out the games that run on Linux because presumably, they presumably run better if they have a native Linux port to run directly on the OS. So, but it's not clear on how, like, if you're going to be able to select and say, okay, I want to run this game directly on Linux. I want to run this one through, Proton or what. But they're testing it.
Yeah.
I guess we'll find out. This was a recent post on Gaming on Linux. How they're testing these games.
Yeah, I'm sure like Linux fans are super excited about this. I, on the other hand, am caring less and less by the day after seeing how fucking huge that system is.
And heavy. Yeah. Should be interesting. I don't think it's going to be a Switch killer like people are saying.
No. Well, I didn't think it was going to be a Switch killer in the first place.
Yeah. Although I saw somebody, you know who it was? Dolphin posted a picture of the Steam Deck, seemingly implying that you are going to be able to run Dolphin on it.
Oh, so I think any emulator that already runs on Linux will be able to play on the Steam Deck.
Yeah. So you will be able to play, of course, legally obtained or ripped ROMs of, GameCube and Wii games and that sort of thing.
Listen, all this means is it will make it easier for people to play modded versions of Melee at tournaments.
Very good. Very important. So, yeah, GMT says if the Linux client is anything to go by, you should be able to choose. I'm guessing that's how it will work, but
yeah,
we'll see if and when we get one. But the big news, I think, before Wednesday, other than whatever else you had, was WayForward getting bullied on Twitter by big mean bullies. So today or yesterday, WayForward came out with River City Girls Zero,
yes.
I believe it's called.
So it is kind of like a, I guess HD because their style is technically in HD, like an HD remastering of an older game that came out in like the late '90s, which was the first Kunio-kun game to feature the two girls as playable characters. You could play as all four characters in that one. Necessary because it was the first Kunio-kun game to be a 4-person beat 'em up instead of just a 2. And now River City Girls is kind of the branding that people recognize more. So it's a prequel, River City Girls 0.
Yeah. Now, was this originally a Japanese-only game?
I think there were some arcade ports, but I don't think it ever made it onto any system here in the West.
Okay.
Yeah.
I mean, was this a WayForward game, though?
No.
They made it Japanese.
No, so WayForward is only recently doing things in the Kunio-kun franchise. They didn't do stuff way back.
I see.
They were contacted by Atlas, who is the current holder of the rights to Kunio-kun, to do River City Girls, and they did such a good job that they're just continuing the license with them. Atlas is the company that actually, not Atlas, ArcSys. Arc System Works. Those two work together a lot. Arc System Works is the one that actually holds the license to the Kunio-kun, or as we know here, the River City franchise. Okay. And Arc System Works is the one that's licensing it to them.
All right, so now you're filling in the blanks here because I didn't fully understand this story either.
Yeah, because Kunio-kun goes all the
Um,
way back to the NES, and I don't even
okay,
think WayForward was a company back then.
no,
Yeah.
yeah. So, way forward in porting this to the U.S. and as I just looked at, is
Yeah.
on the Switch now. They had translators translate it from Japanese to English, and for whatever reason, I don't know if they were unhappy with the final result of the translation. They had it translated a second time, and they are giving you the option. You can either use the English translation that is the modern translation, or what they were calling the literal translation,
Oh,
which is
okay.
basically just one to
So
one.
they
Whatever
have the
was said
Fifi's
in Japanese.
translation, and then they have the faithful translation.
Right. What
Yeah.
was the first one you said?
The Fifi's translation.
The
The one
Fifis,
that
right,
doesn't hurt
right,
my Fifis.
right. So, as you can imagine, this caused quite the stir on Twitter earlier this week because having an actual accurate translation definitely hurt the fifis of a lot of translators, and most likely the kinds of translators who do a poor job, I guess.
Yeah, yeah.
But yeah, there was a firestorm this week on Twitter over WayForward's giving players an option
Yeah.
of having the
Well,
modern translation or the literal.
one of the issues, too, might be some of the things that are in the translation, which is one of the reasons it would hurt modern translators, because they're doing this with all things, like in anime as well, because it's a sukeban story. If you're bancho in general because of the boys, but when you're focusing on the girls, then it becomes sukeban. So it's a gangster story, right?
Yeah.
And gangsters, well, they're kind of blunt. They ain't necessarily the most polite people in the world outside of like showing respect to their bosses and shit like that. But these aren't like the Yakuza. These are like street gangs or street punks. So they're probably the most blunt people you'll ever meet in your life.
Yeah. Well, WayForward did not take out the literal translation, but they did rename it. So presumably in an update, like a day one update, it will now, instead of being called, I think it was originally called, I don't remember, like modern and literal or something like that.
Yeah.
Now they're calling it RCG, which is the newer translation, and original. So they were bullied into changing the name from literal to original translation.
Let's see, RTG. I'm trying to think what that would stand for.
River City Girls.
Oh, okay. Yeah, that makes sense. I was thinking maybe it'd be like some type of like regional correction something or something like that. But yeah.
Yeah, it did take me a minute to like RCG. Oh, River City Girls. But I don't know. I mean, so it's the problem is that's kind of meaningless. Like, okay, the game is River City. Why is this the
actual
River City
game
Girls
isn't.
translation?
Right. So the new version is River City Girl 0. Let me look up what the name of the original was.
So that's it. So the modern one goes along with the modern name of River City Girls, and then there's the original translation, which was the what you call it, Konyo-kun or something.
Yeah, it's part of the Kunio-kun franchise. That's the whole River City franchise in Japanese is Kunio-kun.
Yeah.
Which is the main character of the first game is Kunio and his friend Ricky, because their girlfriends got kidnapped by gangsters and they had to go and save them.
Yeah. So.
Yeah, I'm trying to remember.
Poor WayForward.
Look at the name. Yeah, the original was Shin Niketsu Koha Kunio Tachi no Banka, which is part of the Niketsu Koha Kunio-kun franchise, or Kunio-kun for short.
Mm-hmm. GMG says, "Forsooth, how shalt I remove your phalanges, good sir? Would pliers suffice, or would you rather the axe?"
But this
Perfect
was
translation.
the original debut of Kyoko and Misako, not even just as playable characters, but their names. Because their girlfriends, I don't think you had names in the original game.
So I wouldn't call it exactly bending the knee, but you know, it was a shame that Way Forward got. And so there were just screeds, tweet after, you know, 10, 20 tweet things about how translators are so put upon and they get so much criticism from the alt-right and blah blah blah. It's like, okay, you guys suck at your jobs.
Yeah.
And your jobs aren't that important anyway. So,
well, I think translators' jobs are important. It's just these people aren't important. Then we get better translators.
yeah.
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 Though, I mean, come on. River City. I mean, this one, I think it was earlier than I was saying before. It was like 1994 or 5, somewhere around there, like mid-90s. If I remember, this game and the ones before that, a translator was almost unnecessary. Because while it was pretty dialogue heavy, you literally did not need to read any of the dialogue to play the game. It was just to beat them up.
Yeah. I was watching a video on Earthbound and the differences between the American and Japanese versions of Earthbound. And it's interesting what they had to change, and even like labels on things. And like there was a truck, just a truck that would go by that looked very similar to a Coca-Cola truck. And they had to change the logo on the truck so that it didn't look like Coke. And things like that. And the like the Topolo Theater sounded more too much like the Apollo Theaters, so they changed it to the Topala or something like that. And Mr. Monopoly, spelled with a Y, they thought was too close to Mr. Monopoly, so they changed it to an I or something, you know, stuff like that. It was mostly like trademark stuff. But
well, there's also where before parody laws and fair use and stuff really started getting like challenged in video games, right? Because video games were still fairly new as a narrative medium and not just like somebody doing some fun stuff. So people had to challenge those to find out. It's like, oh, well, going back, you probably could have had all of those names in there and there was nothing they could really do about it. But, you know.
Yeah. Mr. Monopoly.
Funny, that's Jimmy and Bimmy. That is Kunio-kun franchise. Double Dragons and spinoff. I actually watched the Double Dragon movie like I don't know, like a week or two ago. I don't remember how long back it was. It was either last week or the week before that. And man, I completely forgot that Alyssa Milano was in that movie.
Was she the girlfriend?
Yeah, she was the one who kind of like was in charge of the youth. Like, you know, there was like that gang of kids and teenagers and stuff that were rebelling and fighting back. She was basically Tifa. She was the leader of Avalanche in that world. Yeah. But man, the voice she was doing, because it was like, it was her voice because she was younger, but at the same time, she was like contorting it to be as stereotypically meek and girly as possible.
Interesting. There's a live action Double Dragon movie?
You've never seen it?
I don't think I've ever
Oh my god, yeah. There's a live action one. They actually had the names right too. It was Jimmy and Billy.
Yeah. Double Dragon the movie, 1994. Holy shit.
Yeah.
I think I've heard of this, but I never saw it.
It's ridiculous.
Oh my gosh, Scott Wolf plays Billy.
Yeah.
And Mark Dacascos? Wait, aren't they supposed to be brothers? Scott Wolf does not look Asian.
They are. They are supposed to be brothers.
Jimmy is clearly an Asian guy, and Billy is clearly not. It's the guy who played Johnny Cage.
Yeah, I know.
In Mortal Kombat. Okay. Robert Patrick? How have I never seen this movie?
No,
They have
it
the
is.
guy who's playing a Bobo? Oh my god.
Yeah, it is awful, but at the same time, it is amazing. It is one of my favorite video game adaptations.
They have a woman playing Linda? Oh my god. Christina Wagner.
The funny thing too, because I went back and I was playing Double Dragon as well, while watching it because it made me want to play the game on the Switch Online because they have it on the NES, and I was playing Double Dragon as I was watching Double Dragon, and one of the things I like the best is the bad guy, right? His main henchman, it's a woman. She uses a whip, right? And if you play Double Dragon, the first thing you, Linda, the first thing you realize is that all the women basically attack you with whips in the first level. And I thought that was like a really good, there's a lot of random like throws to the actual video game in there that are more precise than you would expect of a movie of its time. But also, the entire plot is fucked. In fact, not just the plot, the lore is fucked for the movie. But it's great.
You know, this movie is so bad it's available free on YouTube.
Oh, nice.
And there,
I was watching it on
chat.
One of those flashback channels or whatever. Trying to remember the name of it. It was like
Tubi or something?
I think it was Comet we were watching it on. But like, yeah, one of those channels that just only shows old stuff.
Yeah.
No,
it's the full thing on YouTube.
Nice.
Can you guess what the Rotten Tomatoes score is?
32.
A lot lower.
Oh, wow.
It's a 13.
13?
Yeah.
Is that review or audience rating?
No, I don't know. I'm guessing that's the audience. Let me see.
I
Rotten
think
Tomatoes.
that's probably review rating because usually on IMDb they show the.
You're right. It's the audience score is a 26.
26. I was closer to the audience score.
You were.
Yeah. No, it's a fun movie though. Like, it's ridiculous. It's awful in its own ways, but it's also like great in its own ways. There's a certain charm to that movie.
I just remember the AVGN episode where the guy's like, "I'm Bimmy."
Yeah. And the cool thing is, so they do actually get gi-like outfits by the end of the movie. So they do have like their red and blue, but they are basically always wearing some variation of a red and blue outfit throughout the entirety of the movie, whether it's like a muscle shirt or like a jacket over it or whatever. They're pretty much always in their colors, and that was also something I appreciated. But like everything about the movie is just fucking ridiculous. They're in a post-apocalyptic world, basically, or sort of, right? It is one of those Mad Max style movies because those were popular at the time. The entire city with their Hollywood tour thing flooded over. It's a wreck. There's still cops and stuff, but everything's so corrupt that like this billionaire is in charge of everything, and he gets shadow powers because he's got half of their medallion, and they need to get both halves together so they can become the Double Dragon. It is really ridiculous, but I love it.
Yeah, I see one of them has a medallion, and oh my god, that is crazy.
Yeah. Think of the children. I am thinking of the children.
Yeah.
This is me thinking of the children. Some of them, I don't even think could a kid appreciate this? I watched it when I was a kid.
Maybe we'll have to do a watch party. Is it?
Maybe, yeah.
Is it on Amazon?
If it's on YouTube, we can do it. Well, I mean, if you want to watch it on Twitch, yeah, you have to do it through.
Yeah. I guess, yeah.
We could just go into the Discord and do a watch party.
Yeah, exactly. Oh, it is on Prime Video, though.
Oh, nice.
What did you think of the Double Dragon, the animated series, though?
Oh, you know what? I have fond recollections of it, but it's been a long time since I've watched it that I'd have to go back.
That is also free on Amazon Prime.
That sounds fun.
But yes, Double Dragon is on YouTube.
Nice. I wish they had done a River City animated series.
Yeah, they should.
Yeah.
Oh, here's another interesting thing. I've seen a couple of people have done just pictures of Common America in a River City Girls style.
Cool. Yeah.
There's been a couple, like Pellegrini retweeted somebody who did that, and so I asked him straight up, "Hey, would you be interested in talking about an actual game in this style with Common America?" He didn't respond. Maybe he didn't think I was serious.
See, I would actually just go and make a whole sprite sheet and maybe a few like animations of it if it wasn't for the fact that I am swamped as it is. You know, I can't talk about it. We're not allowed to talk about it, but I got it roped into a project recently. That is probably going to take up the rest of my month, and I'm like, great. Yeah.
That's good. If you're getting paid for it.
No, it's not. It's a big collaborative thing. It'll be good on my portfolio, though, but...
Okay, then that's not good. Yeah, I got roped into a big project too, but I'm actually getting paid for it.
Yeah.
So.
Well, literally nobody on the project is getting paid for it at all. It's basically a complete pro bono thing. So it's not like anybody's ripping anyone off. It's just, it's one of those types of things. Yeah.
I know. Just giving you a hard time. Well, those are the big stories that I found this week. Not particularly big, but, interesting.
Yeah.
Well, other than that, Horizon Forbidden West is out.
Oh, it would be. Yay.
Yeah.
It's really weird what kind of like different worlds people live in. Like reality is almost different to different people. Because the original one, Horizon Zero Dawn, and Breath of the Wild came out roughly at the same time. And I told people I was going to play Breath of the Wild because I like these type of games, which I was talking about Zelda games, but I think they thought I was talking about action open world type games. And they're like, oh, are you going to play Horizon? It looks better to me is what the other people were saying. It's like, no, it just looks like generic open world RPG of the year. And there's like, wow, that's what I thought about Breath of the Wild when I saw it. It's like, how can we live in such completely different realities?
Yeah, it's hard to explain and it's hard to categorize which games fall into this category for me. Yeah. But it strikes me as one of these games for non-gamers. Yeah, it's just like, and it's probably an unfair characterization, but. I don't know. I watched some people play it, and it's just like, okay, you're sneaking around, and you press a button, and it goes and attacks something. Yeah. And it's like, and then there's a lot of story, a lot of cutscenes, and I'm like,
and mechanically, the battles are more like quick time events than anything. Like once you get into it, it's like button appears, hit it type thing. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Whereas Breath of the Wild, there's a lot of fighting mechanics.
Yeah.
I mean, dodging.
There's a lot of sneaking around too, but once you get into battle, it's pretty interactive.
You can grab a big metal, box and throw it at things. You can shoot fire arrows into an exploding barrel. You can, like I said, dodge and parry, and there's just so many mechanics. It's a very, to me, video game or a gamer's game kind of thing.
Well, that's why, like, aside from the more malicious practices in the gacha system, I liked Genshin Impact because it reminded me of a lot of the same stuff. You even had to switch your characters in the middle of combat to do things effectively.
Yeah, Genshin Impact strikes me as a very good gamer's game kind of thing. But like things like The Last of Us and Horizon and even Dark Souls, it strikes me as just like, I don't know.
Well,
It's just not my kind of game.
Dark Souls probably not your. I wouldn't lump it in the same category, and it also depends on the Dark Souls because they are definitely gamers games. They're not like hardcore games. Almost anybody could beat them with enough time and effort put in. They actually have a really high platinum trophy rate, which means completing the entire game. But they are. I would still say they're gamers games. There's a lot of thought that goes into combat and stuff in there. A lot of dodging and parrying and stuff like that. But they're mechanically intensive games. They're just not, I guess, mechanically stringent games. The entry level for playing those games are really, really low skill-wise. But they have a decently high skill cap to them as well. So, like, you could get through a boss fight if you come in with enough of your refillable, your potions that you refill at the campfire, and you have good enough armor and weapons, and you'll probably take a lot of damage. It's possible. But it's also possible that if you're really good, you could go in with no potions, under armored, and just dodge everything and kill the thing over time, you know? Like, there's a huge variety in gameplay there. And that's what I think more of when I think like a game that's actually designed for gamers is you want the bulk of your audience to be able to beat it, given effort, but you also want to make something that's flexible enough that really good people can come in and kind of show off. And I don't see that in games like The Last of Us or Horizon. They're very narratively driven, which is not a bad thing inherently. But to me, it looks like the dynamic in gameplay is no difference between an 80-year-old grandma playing the game and an MLG like pro playing the game.
Yeah, is there? And I'm probably just. I guess I'm a bit ignorant when it comes to Dark Souls as far as just knowing how the game works because I've never played. But
so Dark Souls honestly is a lot like Zelda. I would throw it in the same category as the Legend of Zelda games. It's just a different version of the genre. Even like the original Demon Souls, a lot of the combat feels like better Ocarina of Time combat.
So yeah, is there?
Yeah.
It doesn't seem like there's a whole lot of it. Like just from what I watched of Horizon Forbidden West, there's a lot of running and jumping and just sneaking up on enemies and pressing a button that kills them, and a lot of cutscenes. Doesn't do it for me. It's fun to watch though. It's fun to watch streamers who enjoy it, play it for a while at least.
Yeah.
But just not my kind of game.
Yeah, I don't think it'll ever be my kind of game.
Maybe eventually I'll pick up a Dark Souls game.
And
it took forever.
Narratively driven.
It took me like 6 years to pick up Skyrim, and I liked it when I finally did. So,
yeah, I don't know though. Maybe. So, the thing about the Souls games are they're fair. I would actually think they are fair games, but they're punishing games. They're not very forgiving, I would say, but anyone can get good at them, which is like the whole community mindset behind it is just get good. They should actually just replace the whole "you died" screen with the words "get good," and that would probably be apt.
From what it looks like, does it look like Elden Ring is going to follow that same kind of?
I think so, but
philosophy?
It seems it's going to be more like Sekiro, which was also by the same team, and
From Software.
Yeah. The issue is 3 was already heading this way, then Sekiro, and it looks like Elden Ring. They seem to be making the games simpler, looking flashier, but simpler. So as long as people still get what they want out of it, I guess that's fine. I'm not a huge fan of the games anyway. Like, I'll defend them on their merits, but they're not really exactly my type of game. I worry for people who like the grueling nature of these games maybe losing the aspect that they like about it over time. Yeah. But, I mean, it's not even FromSoft's best game anyway. I mean, it's not Metal Wolf Chaos.
I've seen a lot of people who are into Dark Souls saying Elden Ring looks good to them.
Well, that's good.
From what they've seen. So people who would be very critical if it looked like it was going in the journalism mode direction, I think they would say so.
Yeah. So. Have you ever seen Metal Wolf Chaos?
No.
Oh god. Okay, so this is a FromSoft game from 2004. So it kind of like predates the whole Soul genre, and it's still like a hack and slash type game, but you are the president of the motherfucking United States in a mech. And you have to save the Union. It's a third-person shooter, but there's like some hack and slash stuff in it too. And it has some of the best lines and cutscenes from any game just because of the dialogue and how the narrative's written. And you fight other mechs. There's actually a point where in the mech, he like suplexes a railgun. Like, that's way bigger than him or whatever. This game is an experience. And I still think it's probably From Software's best game.
It looks like they re-released it in a
2019
updated, an HD version in 2019.
Yeah, it's called Metal Wolf Chaos XD.
Looks interesting.
Yeah, and it's supposed to be kind of a director's cut, so you'd expect DX, but it's XD, which I think is probably more fitting for the nature of the game because it looks like the laughing face.
Yeah, it looks like you're just running around in a mech shooting shit up.
Yeah. And you're the president of the goddamn United States. Like, the game, it's probably one of the hokiest things that you could ever play, but in like the best way possible.
This looks like a gun that's shooting sharks at you.
Yeah. It only takes 7 hours to complete all the missions.
Okay.
Pretty short game, but it's got like a lot of replay value because of that. It's one of those games that for the story that you're playing, you pop it in like once every few years or so.
Well, only has about 500 reviews, but they're very positive. So
I would love...
I'm recommending this game. And the reason is I'm the president of the United States of America.
Yeah, that's the reason why he does everything, is because he's the president of the United States of America.
American history retold by Japanese people. 10 out of 10, America.
Well, I mean, even look at the cover image, right? It's a mech with a huge American flag in the background and explosions in between.
Yeah.
Like, I'm glad they did a remake. I would love a sequel to Metal Wolf Chaos. It's never going to happen because of the nature of, like, the Souls games are just really popular. And they want to make more than just Souls games. But it's just so popular that we're never going to get a sequel to Metal Wolf Chaos. It's just not going to happen.
That's a shame.
Yeah.
Yeah, like I said, if it were more popular, it probably would have gotten more reviews. But it's about 450.
Yeah, it's one of those cult classics.
Mm-hmm. I never even heard of it.
Yeah. But in other news, the 3DS and Wii U eShops are finally actually shutting down.
Maybe.
Again. Yeah. Most likely. They're probably taking up server space for being hardly used. I think they were kept open due to popular demand. A lot of people were complaining, especially people who only just got their 3DS in like the last year.
Who only just got a 3DS in the last year?
I don't know. I don't know where they got them. They stopped production, but stores were still selling the stock that they had.
Yeah, I mean, they've sold 150 million of the fucking
Yeah,
things. You'd think everybody already has one that's going
you'd
to get one.
think. But yeah, so they're shutting them down in March of 2023. So you've got a year.
Yeah.
But as of May this year, on the 23rd, it will no longer be possible to add any funds via credit card to the 3DS or Wii U eShop. Now, I think you could probably still add them via prepaid cards, like when you buy an eShop card. I think you just can't do it via credit card.
So does that mean you can't go in and just buy one and say, I'm just going to use my credit card to buy something?
And not you can't use the credit card on the eShop itself after the 23rd. I'm guessing the first thing they're doing is they're disconnecting like whatever service, Stripe or whatever that they use for the credit card like numbers, their actual payment processing service, which is why you could probably still use regular eShop cards because that's a completely different service whatsoever. The money's already been transferred to Nintendo because you have the card.
So you can go on Amazon, get an eShop card,
and just put the code in.
It like immediately gives you a code and you can put the code in. But the problem with that is like, okay, what if I want a game that's $45? You can only get an eShop card for $50. So
Well, and also you only have until the 29th of August to do that, because I'm reading further, it says it will no longer be possible to use prepaid eShop cards after that point. The rest of like I guess the half year between August 29th and March 2023 is just going to be, hey, listen, if you've got games that you don't have downloaded, make sure you have a big enough SD card or multiple and just get them all. Yeah.
Well, that's smart. I might have to go and get, I don't know. There's a lot of DS games in the Wii U shop.
Yeah.
Like Phantom Hourglass and Spirit Tracks are on the Wii U shop. I know that much.
Yeah.
So, although if I wanted a DS game, I should get it on my 3DS.
Probably. I'm thinking of just getting one of those like 32 gig 4-packs or whatever, just so I can make sure everything's on there. Because I think I have like a 32 gig SD card in my 3DS, and I don't have enough room for everything that I own on the eShop on that card. Because a couple games are pretty big. I think some of them there's like 8 gig games or whatever after all the DLC and everything. Most aren't that big. I think the average game is somewhere between like half a gig to 3 gigs. Like that's where most games are for actual 3DS games. Obviously, it's in like the mega bytes or smaller for like a lot of virtual console games. But some of them are get pretty big. Like Smash Brothers, I think is like an 8 gig game after DLC or something like that. It's I don't actually have enough room on a single SD card for all my games.
Yeah. Unity says what you need is a soldering iron and a 1 terabyte NVMe drive.
I guess. The problem is compatibility. Like, if I were to homebrew the 3DS and modify the operating system, I could probably put any larger drive in there. But the way it stands, they built the system to work with certain amounts of memory, and you actually have to modify it for it to work otherwise.
Yeah. Yep. Well, a lot of people are out there saying, and see, I didn't realize that you basically can't buy anything after August.
Yeah.
You can only just download whatever you've already bought to that point. But a lot of people are out there saying, well, if we can't get it, we're gonna just pirate it.
Oh yeah, I'm probably gonna homebrew my original 3DS since I've got more than one.
Yeah. And I don't know. They're not that wrong.
Yeah. Well, as I always say, the enemy of piracy is accessibility.
Yeah. Not like people are likely buying a whole lot of stuff from the eShop right now anyway, but they really should take all the stuff
I already own.
Yeah, but they really should. I mean, all the look at the fucking Wii U eShop library. It's huge.
Yeah.
Put it on the fucking Switch.
Yeah, I'm sure
Like
more
I said,
people are
DS
buying off
games.
the 3DS than they are the Wii U. That's the stuff that is most likely going to be pirated or just disappear altogether.
Yeah, but I mean,
Yeah.
look at all the DS games and shit that are on the Wii U that you cannot get on the Switch.
Yeah. Listen,
And I
they
mean,
just need to port Kid Icarus Uprising for the 3DS. That's the only thing they need to do.
well, I happen to have that on Citra.
Yeah.
Although it's a little bit hard to play with a mouse and a controller.
Well, why? Well, I mean, I guess there are some
Trying to do
things
this
you
with
need the
the controller.
touchscreen for, even if you change the controls, like switching
Yeah.
arms or whatever. But aside from
Yeah.
that, like most of the game, you can play almost entirely with the controller.
Yeah, yeah. But
I was like-
it's a lot easier to. I found
Yeah.
that it's a lot easier to play with a touchscreen because I
See, I
remember
had-
I had it on the 3DS.
Yeah, I don't know. I found it easier to play controller only when I played it. But I guess I've always been weird like that because, like I said, I used to play Metroid Prime Hunters a lot. I was one of the higher ranked people in like Metroid Prime Hunters Online, and I was one of the few people that were like in the top 50 or whatever that played with a buttons only setup. So I did still have to use the screen to switch weapons when I picked up more than one. That was it. But aside from that, like or to switch into the alternate form, like Samus's morph ball or whatever the character had a different thing. But the rest of it, I just played entirely buttons. Like I would
mean, the
even
nice thing-
use the ABXY almost like the second stick. So that was my camera aiming.
Yeah, I am. I don't know what you call it. Aiming.
Yeah.
Deficient.
Okay.
So I find it easier to just touch what I want to aim at. You know, if I tap
okay.
it, that's what you're going to shoot at. And in Kid Icarus Uprising, you just tap wherever you want to shoot, and that's where it shoots. So it's like, oh, this is easy. It's like a shooting gallery thing.
The game also has Circle Pad Pro
Yeah.
abilities on it too. So like that, I use a
I have
second
a-
stick.
Yeah, I have a new 3DS, but I don't have Kid Icarus on it. My copy of Uprising flew out the window. So maybe I'll get on the eShop and get it before it disappears.
I think it was probably the best game for that system. Very, very underrated, especially talking about a narrative-driven game. That was probably one of the funniest fucking games I've ever played in my life, and it still was fun to play. It wasn't like I was just sitting and hitting a single button.
Well, you know what my favorite game on the 3DS was, right?
I don't know. There's a couple, probably Animal Crossing.
Samus Returns.
Oh, Samus Returns. I forget that was on the 3DS. For some reason, I keep thinking that was on the Switch, even though the Dread's the first one to be on the Switch.
Yeah, I kept saying, man, I wish they'd port Samus Returns to the Switch, but then basically Dread was that. It was essentially the same.
Well, I think it's better than a port because even from watching it, I've played a little bit of it. It doesn't feel too easy because the whole game, even though like counter pairing and stuff like that was re-included, the whole game was actually built from the ground up around the mechanics in this game instead of including a mechanic in an old game, and it just feels more fluid. So I think it's while Returns is still a good game, I think it's better than just getting a port. You get just a more solid new game.
Oh yeah, no, yeah. I agree with you completely. That's what I'm saying is that Dread was basically gives me the Samus Returns port plus it's even better.
Yeah,
it was an even better game.
Which is what I was hoping for, because you remember my complaints originally were I was afraid if it was anything like Returns, it would be too easy, but they did.
Yeah, that was actually that would be my only complaint about Samus Returns was it was a bit too easy. But,
until the final boss was added to the game.
Oh yeah, man, that guy's a son of a bitch. I think I've only beaten him like 2 or 3 times, and it's just and I've played through the game like 20 times. But
Yeah.
I always just stop. I'm like, okay, I'm at Ridley. I'm done. I'm not going to play it. I'll start over again before. But I actually have beaten him like 2 or 3 times, or like maybe 3 or 4 times. But he is rough. But I mean, they did the same thing in Dread. The
Yeah.
final boss in Dread. Holy crap, he's hard. Even in normal mode, he is really
I feel
hard.
like it's less of a difficulty spike by comparison, though, because you could tell that Ridley was built for the new mechanics that were added to the game, and that's one of the reasons why the difficulty spike went up, as opposed to, like, this boss
So
is
is-
just genuinely hard, like, even compared to the fact that
Yeah.
everything was built around the mechanics in this game.
Yeah. Yeah, it was. But I mean, Razorbeak or whatever his name is, he basically forces you to use like all the mechanics, like one after another, because he has so many different phases. But I have to admit, I've only beaten him once. I have not gotten around to try. I've tried it, but I've definitely not beaten him in hard mode, and I've only beaten him in regular mode once.
And you'll never beat
rough.
him in Dread mode.
No, I will never even get that far. I have it. I downloaded the update. I should play easy mode. I should play journalist mode. But God, Dread mode. I can't even imagine. One hit kill from anything.
Yeah.
Literally anything. That's the thing. It must not be. I haven't tested this, but we talked about this. You must not die from a one hit from like heat rooms and stuff.
Well, so if that's the case, that means the heat has to be programmed differently than other forms of like damage over time. Because if you go into like that corrupted stuff, a single touch of that will end up killing you. So there has to be literally like different codes for like types of damage over time.
Yeah, because there are areas that I honestly don't think you can avoid, where you actually have to go through a heated area briefly before you get the various suit. So it's confusing to me. There must be a way, or it must not kill you right away.
Never owned a video game console, Fizzozo. That's I don't know. It's a little sad. There's some really good stuff that are only ever on consoles, but you know, it's different strokes for different folks. I would say actually, probably the best console to own of all time currently is the Switch if you've never owned a console, because on it are so many things that could catch you up on things from other consoles that you've never owned.
Yeah. Like River City Girls.
Then again, you know, if you don't care too much and are fine with sailing the high seas, most of that stuff you can play on your computer anyway. You actually can play River City Girls on your computer. It's on Steam.
Yeah, I think RCG Zero is on Steam as well.
Yeah.
It's not just on Switch. But yeah, I am tempted to get, well, not right now because I've got such a freaking backlog. But eventually I may get those Kingdom Hearts games on PS5. I'm not going to get it on Switch.
Oh, yeah. Do not get it on Switch.
Hell no.
Yeah.
I'm going to get an Xbox. Well, you know, PS5 has somewhat backwards compatibility.
No, not like Xbox. Xbox can play like 90% of the historical Xbox library, with the few exceptions being some rare original Xbox games that they just can't really like optimize. But aside from that, like every single thing in the 360 library, most of the original Xbox, everything in the Xbox One library, it's all backwards compatible.
That's cool.
Yeah. But yeah, so eShop shut down. Get what you can while you still can.
Indeed.
There was something else I was going to say about it. They redesigned the Nintendo store, their online store. And it's got some really cool exclusive merch there, including a Mario and Enemies mug, which has like Mario bouncing off of some Goombas. It looks pretty good. In like the old art style too. I really miss the old like NES through SNES Mario art style, because they kind of changed it once you got to the 64 to match like the proportions of the new 3D characters. The old one was like a lot more cartoony.
Have you seen the the Game Boy themed Air Jordans?
I have.
Oh, you have seen them?
Yeah. Some other cool things they have on here. They've got Yoshi with Enemies t-shirt, so he's doing like the same thing, but it's kind of like Yoshi's Story. So he's like eating a shy guy, pooping out some eggs. Skyward Sword pillow that you'd probably be interested in for like $20. It's just a big throw pillow, yeah.
Why would I be interested in that?
I don't know. Don't you like Skyward Sword? You like Zelda in general.
Yes, but I don't generally have throw pillows.
I mean, it looks comfortable. It's just a big 11-inch square pillow, you know?
Oh my god, there's a Zelda Christmas tree topper.
Oh, yeah.
I'm getting that.
I know people who have some of those, but this is like actually officially licensed. I do like there's a Animal Crossing. Actually, it's almost like your color green too. Animal Crossing Dodo Airlines jacket. It's got like the doll logo and the Dodo one on there.
The jacket?
Yeah. It's like a zip-up jacket for Dodo Airlines.
I'm apparently in the holiday area because there's also a Christmas stocking.
It also has like a huge Dodo logo on the back too. Like a zipper pouch. Yeah. This looks like a nice jogger. Something for like a brisk fall day.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Ooh, there's a Peach and Toad's t-shirt women's cut. You get that from Peach.
There's also a Metroid Dread shirt too, since we were just talking about that.
Well, they really have revamped the store.
I know.
Neat.
It's got a new design too. It's not just the stuff in there. The store looks nicer than it used to as well.
Mm-hmm.
Over at my Nintendo
Splatoon
store.
shirts. Very cool. Yeah. Oh, here's the Puma. Here's the Animal Crossing Puma shirt. No, we didn't talk about that, did we? The Puma shoes.
I don't know if we talked about it. I know a guy who got them, so I was aware that they existed, but I don't know if we ever brought it up.
We talked about the Converse shoes.
We did. The Pokemon ones.
The Nintendo. Right. We might have talked about the Pumas, the Animal Crossing Pumas, but I guess they came out quite a while ago.
Yeah.
Well, they've got the shoes apparently on the store.
Yeah. Oh, actually, this was more in line with the last topic. I had my tabs out of order. So, speaking of the eShop shutting down, going off of the sales, since they've announced that, Pokemon games have skyrocketed on the eShop because people want to make sure that they own every single Pokemon game.
Oh my gosh.
Right? Especially also with the announcement coming along with it that after the eShop shuts down, the Pokebank, which is the original transfer tool, will be free. You no longer have to pay the $5 yearly service. So what you need to make sure you get before it shuts down is you need the Pokemon transfer tool, which is its own little app for Pokemon Black and White, and you need the Pokebank. And if you have both of those on your system, the Pokebank will still connect to Pokemon servers that Pokemon Home's connected to, and you can get things all the way from the Game Boy Advance to the modern Pokemon games. You can transfer it up there because you could take a Pokemon Ruby and Sapphire or Fire Red and Leaf Green, you put them in the bottom of an older DS. You can put Black and White in the top one, or Diamond and Pearl, either of them, and you can transfer Pokemon from the Game Boy Advance to the DS. And then if you put Black and White in the 3DS, you could use the Pokemon Transfer Tool app to put those into the Pokebank. And then you could use the Pokebank to move those to Pokemon Home, and you'd be able to get a Pokemon from Ruby and Sapphire all the way to like Pokemon Legends Arceus. The Pokebank also lets you transfer things out of the red and blue or green if you're using a Japanese version virtual console apps. So while you can't get a Pokemon from your original cartridge version of red and blue, you can still get Pokemon from those games into the modern ones.
But if you download them from the eShop?
Yeah, if you have the virtual console version, yeah.
Okay. So can you get those Game Boy Advance games on the DS?
No.
From the eShop?
The eShop does not have those available. The eShop never sold Game Boy Advance games. They were planning on it to. If you have the Ambassador program, you got 10 Game Boy Advance games in the virtual console.
Yeah. That's what I was gonna
But
say.
they never started openly selling Game Boy Advance games on the eShop for reasons. It was something that was planned. I guess they just never made more than the ones that were the Ambassador program.
Yeah, because I was going to say, I have Game Boy Advance games.
Yeah, you've got 10 from being an early supporter. I do too.
Did they ever release Game Boy Advance games on the Wii U?
I don't know. I've never actually bothered to look. They might have. Yeah, they did. Because you could get, we have Mario and Luigi Superstar Saga on the Wii U. So they did start putting them on the Wii U.
Weird.
Yeah.
That doesn't help you much when you're...
No, it doesn't.
if you're trying to transfer Pokemon from...
But I still think it's neat that they have this really convoluted but system in place that you can get games from the Game Boy Advance all the way to the Switch. You can get those Pokemon transferred.
So you'd have to take a physical Game Boy Advance game
and put it in the bottom of a DS.
Of a DS, because that could take advanced games, whereas the 3DS cannot.
And I think you actually have to transfer them to Diamond and Pearl specifically, because I don't remember if Black and White had the Pokemon Safari used for transferring. But what Black and White could do is you could transfer Pokemon from your boxes in Diamond and Pearl strictly to Black and White. It would do a quick load system where it would tell you to take the game out of the 3D or the DS, put the other game in. It would load the Pokemon from the boxes, and then you would switch it back out, and it would transfer those over. It's ridiculous. But they might have had a Safari as well. I don't recall. But I knew they knew they were already planning a new system by the time the first Black and White came out, not just 2, because of stuff like that. And then you could take the game from Black and White and use the Pokemon transfer tool to get it into the Pokebank. And then from there, it can go into the rest. I actually had a chart somewhere. There's a chart a flow chart that explains how to get Pokemon from like the earliest points into the newest games.
Well, that would be so cool if I gave a shit about Pokemon.
Yeah, it would. I mean, it's still kind of cool even if you didn't. Just the fact that the company is doing that sort of thing.
Yeah, no, it's awesome.
But they are
cool.
selling like hotcakes for like anybody who just got into some of the newer games and like, oh shoot, I need to go and get these older games to get everything.
Yeah. Interesting. Well, that's one way to spark a little bit last minute interest in your eShop. To say we're closing it. Yeah.
So, I've got 2 topics at the end that are kind of like in the same boat. Okay. And they are movie adaptations. Ones that... one that may not want, and one that we're not even sure if we ever wanted. So we'll start off with the one that we're not even sure if we ever wanted. And apparently in development by the same person who is writing Black Adam, DC is making a Wonder Twins movie. For specifically for HBO Max, so it's like a direct-to-TV movie, but it's they're making a Wonder Twins movie.
It's fascinating.
And it's like, did we ever actually want a Wonder Twins movie?
I don't know.
They're one of the weirdest cases of characters. Because a lot of people like to claim that certain characters were the first character from a cartoon to be in comic books or whatever. Like they were cartoon first. And a lot of people always like to say Harley Quinn was one of them or whatever. But the Wonder Twins actually were probably the first cartoon characters to end up in comics because they were in the Justice or like the Super Friends comic that actually followed the show afterwards, because there was a comic that ran for a little while, which for some reason that comic they were blonde instead of like looking like Asians. They're aliens, it really doesn't matter, but it was just kind of like weird to see that they look different than they do in the cartoon. But then they've appeared several times throughout DC since then.
Yeah. Now they did originate in the Super Friends.
Yeah, in the cartoon show.
And in the cartoon, they look to me to be Asian.
Vaguely Asian, yeah. They had like those Beatles-style bowl haircuts. Their eyes look like the way Hanna-Barbera usually draws like Asian eyes and stuff like that.
Almost like at least the boy almost looks like a Vulcan from Star Trek.
Yeah, because they have pointy ears. They look like, aside from their elf ears, that they could be from the Amazing Chan clan.
Yeah. Oh, here. Well,
but they do. Yeah, they're kind of Vulcan.
Here's an article from Den of Geek that has them with rounded ears. That's weird.
Yeah. Well, that's the thing. They became more human-like in the what's it called? In the comic that followed.
Yeah.
And they had blonde hair. And they still had like the same origin. They were like enslaved in an alien circus. That's why their uniforms are the way they are.
Although Wonder Twins Volume 1 Activate, this is from 2019.
Yeah, that's a newer thing.
It has them with very clearly pointed ears and black hair, and they look very
nice.
They look almost Indian. Right?
Yeah. They returned to the black hair. I like their original look. I don't know why they went with a blonde look for a while. They even what's that show? They had an appearance in Smallville where they both had blonde hair too, and that confused a lot of people. And we had to go dig out some comic panels to show it's like, well, the comic version that followed, they were actually blonde for a while. So. Yeah, Gleek wasn't in it, though, in the Smallville. But he did have, like, a cameo appearance on, what was it? Dana? I can't remember the girl's name. But on her phone. Jay. It was something. Jaina. Okay.
Jaina and Zan.
I was close with the sound. On the back of her phone, it was kind of, like, bedazzled and, like, a picture of Gleek was on her phone case or whatever. So that was the closest.
Jaina can transform into any animal, so shouldn't she? She should get with Beast Boy, I would think.
And Zan can turn into any form of water. It could be any state, right? It could be solid, gas, liquid, whatever.
That's all there is. That's all.
Well, so there are semi-solid states that you would not see occur naturally in our environment, right? They're type of like frost states that are almost like gel that could do in space or in a lab. That he, being magic and alien, would probably be able to turn into if he wanted. There's actually I think 9 forms of water. Most of them are technically forms of ice. But yeah.
Now, I would much sooner rather just see them like they never showed up in Justice League, did they?
I'd rather just be a side character. They don't really need a movie of their own. Like, what are they going to do?
It would have been cool if they'd been in like Justice League Unlimited or something.
Yeah.
Or what was that show with the kids? Wasn't there Young Justice, right?
Yeah.
They should have been in Young Justice.
I want to see a fucking cracked version of it, right? Where like Jaina almost dies, right? Like she's critically injured and like angry. They bump rings and she barely can say the words. And then Zan's just like form of a typhoon and just becomes like a big ass hurricane and just like wrecks somebody.
Silly. What's Gleek steal?
He's just a monkey-like thing. He's not technically a monkey because he's an alien, but he's a monkey-like thing.
Yeah. Yeah, I think this is a movie that. So is it happening or is it just a rumor?
Yeah, well, it's reported. It's not a rumor. It's in development, but stuff like this often ends up in development hell, and it's by the same person who is writing and directing Black Adam.
Oh.
Yeah.
Okay. Now wait, is there a standalone Black Adam movie coming?
Yeah, it's been planned for a while, where The Rock is going to play Black Adam. There's even been teasers and trailers and stuff for it.
Well, I thought that was going to be I thought that he was going to be in like Shazam too.
Yeah, he is going to be in Shazam, but there's a Black Adam movie too. The Black Adam movie was actually announced, I think, before the Shazam movie because The Rock has been wanting to play Black Adam for years. Then the Shazam movie was announced. Then they announced that the Black Adam would show up in a follow-up Shazam film after a Black Adam film of his own.
Oh.
Now, whether that order is still the order that things are going to come out, I don't know, because as far as I know, they've already shot most of, they've already done Shazam 2. So I don't know what they're doing with Shazam 3 when Black Adam's coming out. A lot of things have moved around from the original production order of shit.
Is Black Adam not a villain?
Black Adam is a villain. This is supposed to be like a villain origin story thing, because Black Adam used to be a hero back in ancient Egypt before he used the powers for his own greed. Like, he was the original version of Shazam, just like millennia ago. Well, more than one, but yeah, so many millennia ago. And then he became a villain.
Mm-hmm. I don't know about a movie centering on the villain.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's kind of like the Scorpion King. The first Scorpion King was actually a very popular movie. Believe it or not, too, with the same actor. So.
Yeah, I guess. I guess whatever works.
I was actually making a laugh, too, when people were complaining about, like, well, isn't he supposed to be Egyptian? And then The Rock's playing. It's like, well, it's not the first time The Rock played an Egyptian villain.
Yeah. That's true. I guess he has dark enough skin.
Yeah. The other movie. So this one, it's there's parts of it that seem redeemable, but it's sitting kind of wrong with me. And they're doing a Chippendale Rescue Rangers movie, which was announced a long time ago, but I thought it fell into development hell.
Yeah.
But
I saw the preview for that. It looks like shit.
Yeah, it's like this really weird trying to be Who Framed Roger Rabbit like movie in a way. But it seems, because Chippendale was always funny, but it was funny in like a lighthearted, serious kind of way, in the same way that most of their shows in the Disney afternoon were. They weren't making fun of themselves being funny.
Yeah, when you don't take the source material seriously. I hate this trend where they're like, whoever's writing this is like, chipmunks or whatever.
It's meta humor. That's the problem.
Yeah. Nobody cares. Nothing matters. Blah, blah, blah. And it's like, no, some people actually give a shit. So quit ruining our shit.
Yeah. No, there's a certain level of meta humor that can work, because even some old shows might do something like that. So like the chipmunks themselves, right? Yeah. Well, you don't even need fourth wall breaking to have a certain level of meta humor, right? The chipmunks themselves, it's their world. They'd be serious, right? Even if funny things are happening to them, it would be normal to them, so they would not be reacting in a weird way. But if they talked to a human, maybe a human might react like, "Oh my God, it's a talking chipmunk," right? That type, like Alvin and the Chipmunks. I thought the original Alvin and the Chipmunks movie with Jason Lee was actually a less meta humor and a pretty unironic movie. And most of the meta humor was around the fact that, like, Dave saw talking chipmunks, and that's kind of a weird thing for a human to run into. Stuff like that works. Now, those movies became even more meta humor within the sequels, or as they call the squeakquels, but we don't need to talk about those.
I like David Cross in those movies.
Yeah.
He's funny. Yeah, whatever happened to like actually taking something seriously, like the Rescuers or something like that, or the original Rescue Rangers, or
Yeah. I don't know, man.
why
I don't
why
know.
can't they take anything seriously?
Well, the problem too is you look at this, and most of the cast and a lot of the writing
Oh,
and
yeah.
directing team is all SNL. It's SNL alumni and stuff like that. So of course they're not going to take it seriously.
Yeah, what Seth Rogen's in it. It's like, oh my god.
The only
this whole-
person in here that I think is like an actual voice in the show is that Tress MacNeille is on the list of actors. But at the same time, I don't even know if she's going to be voicing what's her name? Gadget. Yeah, she might just be a cameo voice. I don't even know if she's doing the actual voice. Like, where is Jim Cummings coming in and playing Monterey Jack? That's the only person I want in there, and he's not on the list.
And correct me if I'm wrong, but Chip and Dale's voices don't sound very chipmunk-like,
No, they
right?
don't.
Because they talked in high-pitched chipmunk voices, right?
Yeah, to match how they used to
original.
sound in like Mickey Mouse cartoons and stuff when they would show up.
Now they're talking all like weird voices, and so and the premise is weird. There's like different levels of animation happening.
Yeah. Well, like even
some of
Roger
the
Rabbit
characters-
actually shows up in the trailer.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. But like Chip is like traditional animation. Dale is like a 3D CGI.
Yeah.
There's other characters that pop in that are like computer, like game, like video game animation from like the 90s and stuff like. It's like this meta humor that's just.
What's even weirder is it's not even just that he's like traditional animation, because even like the still that I have right in front of me, he's traditional, but his jacket and hat, which are his references to Indiana Jones, are still like CG.
Yeah, but they're meant to be real, right?
Yeah, like an actual jacket and hat, just sitting on a cartoon. It's very.
I don't know if this is gonna work. This seems weird. And Dale coming in saying he got the 3D upgrade or whatever.
Yeah. Freaking Magnum PI looking ass.
Yeah, that was supposed to be it, right? I mean,
Yeah.
Dale was supposed to be Magnum PI, and Chip was supposed to be who, like Indiana Jones kind of thing?
Yeah. So it even matched their personality. Chip was more of the we're going on an adventure kind of guy. And
Sort of the straight man.
Yeah. And Dale, being kind of funny, was the we're solving a crime or like a mystery type of guy. And, Magnum was always kind of funny in his show, so that it would always fit. Like, there's the straight man and the comedic relief, and their base personalities work for both of that.
Yeah. Dale would always wear the Hawaiian shirts. And of course, Gadget made the gadgets. Yeah, she was in the trailer for like one frame of animation. It's ridiculous. Except at the beginning where it was like a flashback.
I don't even remember. Was Jack in the trailer?
Yes, I think so.
I might have missed him, but that was my favorite character on the whole show. Is I loved Monterey Jack.
Yeah. A mouse named after a cheese, of course.
Yeah. Well, he had the best personality. I loved his getup.
Yeah.
He was like the dad of the group.
Did he have an Australian voice?
Yes. He had a very like a thick Australian accent.
Yeah. I don't even know. I'd have to go watch the trailer again. I don't know if they gave him an Australian accent.
He had like a duster on and like a flight cap with goggles, and that was like his design.
Oh, and what about the Fly? I don't know. What was his name?
I don't remember. It's been a while. I want to go back and watch Chip and Dale.
I can't. Yeah, I know. I don't even know if he was in the trailer. I watched it once and was just like, ugh.
Chip and Dale or Rescue Rangers. That's such a catchy theme song.
Chip and Dale. Zipper. That's what his name was.
Yeah, I don't think I saw him.
Zipper, the little green fly. I wouldn't be surprised if they just left him out,
Yeah.
because that's a thing they do. Oh, we don't need this character. No, you need all the characters. Damn it! We need you to take this seriously. Buckle down, people.
John Mulaney and Andy Samberg.
Oh God, I know. Whatever happened to hiring actual voice actors?
Well, if you look at the other people in the film, Will Arnett, Eric Bana. I don't even know who Flula Borg is. I think she's a current SNL person. Then you have like Keegan from Key and Peele, Tim Robinson, Seth Rogen. It's just like, comedy heavyweights. I don't want this in my Chip and Dale movie.
Yeah. I think it was Robin Williams that just ruined the voiceover, voice actor.
I think that's where it started.
Industry.
Because before him, even though he wasn't the first big celebrity in Disney movies, before him, they didn't really advertise the celebrity, right? Like Mel Gibson was in Pocahontas, and most people don't even remember that, right? Because they didn't advertise it. But then with Robin Williams, who was the biggest comedian at the time, they start advertising it against his will too. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
He was an actual voice actor. Not like he had done voicing, but like in his performances, he did voicing. So he was already doing that type of stuff. And technically he was a voice actor before that, because people didn't know, because they didn't advertise him. He was the bat and fern gully before Aladdin even happened.
Right. But after that, it was just like, I guess Aladdin did so well. They're like, ooh, it's just about putting a big name on the screen.
And again, it was against his contract, because he said not to use his name for advertising.
Yeah. But I mean, he did impressions. That was why he was good. And then now they're just putting actors in there that are not good at voice acting. Sorry.
Funny part too is he was the best performance in the movie. I'm not gonna say he wasn't, but he wasn't even the only comedian that did a voice in that movie. Freaking Gottfried was in there as Iago, and that's also one of the best parts of the movie.
Yeah. It's a very distinctive voice.
Yeah.
So it's I don't have good feelings about this.
I don't either.
Just go back and watch the cartoon, and then go watch Double Dragon, the movie.
You're in danger. Yeah.
Oh well. I was going to talk a bit about Comixology.
Because Comixology
fucked up their.
We can talk about that a little bit. We go a little bit over time because we didn't have a show on Wednesday, because they merged with Amazon stores. They've completely changed Comixology. I've been hearing about this for weeks because I have comics on Comixology, but I also have things on the Kindle store, and now I'm having to figure out how I'm going to merge these two things together.
Well, apparently it looks like shit and works even worse. Because I guess, Comixology was designed for comics. It would show you which ones you've read, which ones you're partway through, and the interface was really good. And now that it's merged fully into Amazon, it's shit. It's like people are freaking out about it.
Yeah.
Do you have more to say about that? Or?
Yeah. Well, I mean, talk about it wasn't even just built for comics. It was built for comic readers specifically. The app only has, I think they added a light mode eventually, but the default mode for the app was a dark mode. They just made the app a dark mode app originally, which is like, they know their audience. I'm reading comics in the dark, by myself. It was very streamlined. The process for getting your comic on there wasn't, though. If I submitted a comic, it might take upwards of 3 to 4 months before the comic actually got onto the store, because they had to make their own guided reading view. One of the benefits of merging it with the Kindle is that guided reading view will not be mandatory, and using the Kindle comic app or the Kindle Create app, they've merged them together. You don't even need the old comic app anymore, but using the Kindle Create app, you can create your own guided reading view yourself. so you can put like things around the panels, or you can ignore it altogether. But there is one other benefit. So this actually helps creators a lot more, not customers. And that's the part that upsets me, because you can help creators all you want. If the customers don't like the app and don't buy it, you're really not helping them. But one of the things is this is going to make it easier using the Kindle Creator app to get your comics printed, because they've already technically done print-on-demand comics, but it's a pain in the ass to get through the old Kindle system and pass their margin thing. Remember, we were having margin problems even with the coloring book, let alone something that should go to the edge of the page. And the Create app having comic features for it now should help solve that problem. And anything that you put on there, they will let you run like a print-on-demand version of it. They just order it, print it, like they do with their normal books. Do it for floppies, graphic novels. So there are a lot of benefits from merging everything to the Kindle Direct Publishing program. But it is just horrible for consumers. Unless you're a Kindle user. Because it did merge, now it will all be on the Kindle app as well. So the Comixology still has its own app. It's not as good as it used to be, but you will be able to access everything from the Kindle app. So if you're a Kindle user and already like the way that app looks, well, you'll have no problem. Now you could just read comics through there. You technically already could if somebody was putting comics up on Kindle. And it will also now allow you to read comics from Kindle purchases on Comixology, and it will allow you to read comics from any of Amazon's subscription apps. So if you have Amazon Prime and you get the ones that are free via Amazon Prime, if you have the Kindle's comic subscription, they've like 5 or 6 different subscription apps. If you have a subscription for any of those, instead of having to resubscribe for each service, you can read anything from those subscriptions on Kindle or Comixology. So there are certain things that are better, but a lot of it is just much worse.
Yeah, I was seeing, what's his name? That comedian was like tweeting about it over and over again. I can't remember his name, but yeah, a lot of people have been complaining. So I didn't even know what the purpose was, but now it makes sense that they're basically just merging it with Kindle.
Yeah.
So,
and there are a lot of benefits from merging it, but apparently a lot of more unforeseen consequences than benefits.
At the moment, yeah.
Yeah. They'll probably hash a lot of this stuff out over time.
Yeah.
Some of the stuff you probably couldn't see until you actually did the merger. Like they've probably accounted for a lot of stuff and did some like offline testing with their apps. But until you had like the full library and everything mixing together and stuff, and until you actually got consumers looking at the new layout and everything, there's some things you just could not tell weren't going to go over well.
Yeah.
It happens with anything.
Oh well, don't get Comixology. Go on Indiegogo and look for Comicsgate projects. Get physical copies.
Get Kindle. You don't need Comixology for it. Get Kindle. As far as reading books in general, Kindle's always been a better app. Comixology's actually been pretty great on your phone, but the browser version is shit. But like you can get even Comicsgate books on Kindle. Like there's a lot of people who put their stuff there,
Oh, yeah.
Just cool. Indie period. You get a lot of indie stuff on Kindle or Comixology. I've been telling people put their shit there for a year because honestly, Amazon really isn't that judgmental on who puts their shit up. They kind of just let it ride. They don't strike you down. Hell, controversial John Delarose has been printing his stuff through Amazon. So if you know how controversial he is, if Amazon's not taking his shit down, pretty much anybody can put their stuff up. I've actually
he works with Vox Day. Ooh.
Yeah, I've actually, as much as I'm critical of Amazon as a business in general, I've been pretty fond of them as a publisher, and it makes sense that they would still be kind of not evil in the book publishing area, because that's where they started, was selling books. They were like
Right.
the used bookstore of the internet, and now they transitioned from even just being a bookstore to being the store of the internet. But now they're a publisher too.
Yeah.
Yeah. But the best part is they're not really a publisher. They're more of a platformer. They're a printer, because when you publish through them, they own the rights to the print run technically, but you still own the rights to everything you print with them. You could even take it from them and print it with multiple people. The benefit of going with them, though, is they provide like the ISBN for barcodes and shit like that.
Right. Phasmagore says they like Newgrounds for posting because it's Newgrounds.
Oh, yeah, of course. I mean, it's Newgrounds. Yeah, if you're strictly digital, if you're just making art or movies or whatever, of course Newgrounds. But sometimes, especially if you're a comic creator or if you're a novelist or whatever, it helps to have outlets where you can actually get physical versions of your projects out to people.
Mm-hmm.
And Amazon's one of the ones that do that. Kablam is another printer that I like a lot for comics specifically, because you could do your normal print run through them. You can order like 100, 200, thousands, depending on whatever your order is. But then if you have one proof copy, one physical copy, which can be any copy from that order that you agree with, you can just be like, hey, I want to set this up for print on demand on Indie Planet, which is their storefront. And people can catch up and buy it on demand after the original run or whatever. So people never have to be like, man, I would totally love to get into this series. Too bad they're out of print and I can't read number 1. Now at least you can go digital, but with print on demand, you can always start from number 1 in physical form if you want.
Yeah, that's cool.
Yeah. And Amazon's trying to do that now too. That's one of the biggest benefits of going to Kindle is it's going to be easier to get your comics in printed form.
Mm. Yes. And novels too.
And novels. Yeah.
I got this from my good friend Ali Sangui.
You know, my novel
Printed
is
from
available on Amazon. It's like $10. I need to write the second one. Well, I've been writing it, but I've just been so busy I haven't finished. I need to finish writing and get the second act up there too. But it's so easy. So easy now.
Yeah.
And anyone can be anything if they just put in the effort.
That's why I don't understand why people still have publishers.
Yeah, I know.
I guess for advertising, but you know.
Especially with most of these print on demand, I don't like calling them publishers because they don't really have publishing right. Distributors, printers, platformers, whatever you want to call them in that regard, are great because they don't try to take your IP from you. You could go to multiple in some cases. You just have to look at what the terms of service is for the print run.
Right. Well, they call themselves publishers.
Yeah, they
what
technically
their- what
are
their
to some
worth
degree.
is.
But yeah,
Yeah.
they're printers. That's all they really are. Printers and distributors.
Yeah. Well, that's all I had this week.
Yeah, and that I've already wrapped up everything I have. So that's our little tidy bonus section for missing the last episode. Thank you all for watching. If you enjoy the show, please share it with somebody else who might enjoy it. It helps out more than you think. And if you really enjoy the show, consider giving a donation to streamlabs.com/vomitoriumlive. Up front, we have reached 150% of the donations necessary for this month, but those bills do keep coming. So anything that you donate can either roll over to the next month or even possibly buy me a pizza. You never know, but it helps out. So we'll catch you guys later.
Bye.